Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, take risks, try new things and seize opportunities with Clare Talbot-Jones. We talk about how she forgot to take risks, be bold or be fearless for over a decade, her journey from being a teacher to being voted the rising star in insurance, and how she loves selling her husband at networking events.
Clare loves all things risk and resilience. As co-founder and director of Gateshead-based chartered insurance brokerage, Talbot Jones, her growing company supports charities, social enterprises and businesses to better understand and manage their risks, building confidence and resilience. She also brings her experience and passion to manage Talbot Jones Consultancy, offering governance, risk and compliance advice. Following an unusual career path into the industry, she was proud to be awarded the Insurance Business UK Rising Star title in 2019 and added to the Northern Power Women's Futures list in 2020, having been recognised as a change maker and disruptor, making positive changes in the region. So, thank you ever so much for joining us today, Clare, on this beautiful sunny September morning.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. We have been trying to get you on for a while, but you were quite reluctant.
Yes. I'm always prepared to take on any challenge, but being recorded is something that fills me with absolute dread and fear and anxiety. So I'm not at all confident to be here, but I'm doing it, and I'll be very proud when it's done.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So, if we had to take you back to when you were a little girl, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
No, not at all. So when I was little, I just wanted to do everything. And I was really fortunate because my mum and dad gave me so many opportunities. So I did loads of stuff when I was little, and I did music and different sports and lots of different voluntary opportunities, and I had loads of opportunities and I seized them all, and it was great. And it meant that really whatever I did, I really enjoyed, and it meant that I didn't have clarity about what I wanted to do when I was older. And I think probably looking back, kind of if I met somebody who was really excited and passionate about what they did, I probably wanted to do it as well. And so I wanted to be an actress, I wanted to be a marine biologist, a journalist, a lawyer. I wanted to do all sorts of things. And I did work experience at a vet with the BBC in the newsroom, and gosh, what else did I do? With the Arts Council of Northern Ireland PR department. I enjoyed things about all of them, and there were bits that I didn't enjoy. Like I got covered in pus when I cow pus at the vets, so nice. That one out. I think I wanted to do something that was exciting and adventurous and fulfilling. And as I got a bit older, I started to have career guidance, and as soon as I started to have career guidance, I kind of started to be funneled down quite a narrow route. And I was told, because I was fairly academic, I was told that I should consider medicine, law or teaching. And I remember those are kind of the caring professions, and if you do something else outside of that, it will not be fulfilling or rewarding or make a difference. So part of me took that on board, and I thought, well, that seems it's from a careers advisor, that seems like it's probably pretty sage advice. So I kind of had that in mind, but I didn't really want to do any of those three careers at that stage. So when it came to doing my A-levels, I did things I really enjoyed, and then it came to applying to universities. So I got two places. I got a place studying languages at Newcastle University, which I was keen on because I thought that'll keep things quite open. And I also got a place at Trinity College, Dublin, doing law with French. So I took a gap year so I could have a bit more time to think about what I might do, and I had loads of adventures and got into all sorts of scrapes and had loads of opportunities, and it was great. And then I came out at the end of the gap year and I thought, you know, I still don't really know what I want to do. I'll do a degree in languages. I love communicating, I love traveling and experiencing new things. So off I went and I did that. And I thought, well, maybe sometime along the next 4 years, I'll get a bit more clarity on what I want to do. And I got to the end of the 4 years. And I still didn't have clarity, and I was encouraged by a lot of people to do PGCE. And I wasn't completely keen on doing that, but I thought, well, I'll do PGCE, I'll get into teaching, and then who knows what will happen after that. And I did enjoy teaching, and it did seem like it'd be a really fulfilling and rewarding opportunity. So yeah, I seized that and I jumped on that, and yeah, then I became a teacher.
Little ones or big ones?
Well, I worked in an independent school, so there was 1 year that I taught every single year group in the school. So it went from nursery up till sixth form, and that was brilliant because I worked in an independent school. There was a lot of opportunities there to do things that wouldn't be possible in the state sector. So I was teaching music, and I was subject leader for drama, and I was teaching maths. No, not maths. I didn't teach maths. I maybe did. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, no, I did teach some maths. I taught IT and RE. Yeah, I was doing a lot. I was busy, and I really enjoyed the variety. But it was pretty stressful and pretty pressured. But yeah, I really enjoyed those opportunities.
Was that up in the northeast?
Yes, not far away.
So you've stayed around here since university?
Yeah, I remember my sister studied at Newcastle University, and I remember coming up in her freshers week with a carload of stuff, and we arrived in the evening. We arrived at night time, and I just absolutely fell in love with Newcastle. Just as we drove up on the motorway, and I saw Newcastle ahead of me with all the lights shining, and it just seemed so exciting and so much history. And I loved Newcastle University. It has a campus right in the centre of the city, and I really like that, so I could be a student but also feel part of the city. One of the things I really liked about Newcastle when I came was that it was such a small city, so it had everything that a city should have, all the kind of benefits of a big city, but it wasn't so big that I ever felt lost. So coming from Northern Ireland, I really enjoyed the anonymity of coming to somewhere new where people didn't know me. But it's interesting because since launching the business, I've really felt a real sense of actually starting to belong to the city. So in a way that I didn't feel before, I kind of will be walking around and will see a client's office or an advertisement for one of our clients, and we'll see people that I know, and actually I really love that we've kind of started to get to know people and to know the city and to feel really proud about the city. And I think also launching the business has given me a sense of responsibility that actually we can make an impact in the city, and it's where we belong, and we can make it better. So yeah, I love Newcastle, and now we're over the river in Gateshead, so I'm really coming to love Gateshead. When I first moved, I lived just by St James's. I lived just by Gateshead Stadium Metro. So I kind of, I still travel into Newcastle all the time. I do my shopping in Newcastle and see all my friends in Newcastle. So kind of Gateshead was just somewhere to sleep. And then when we had the children, we moved further into Gateshead, and I just love Gateshead and the diversity and the lovely parks, and we live near the leisure centre and the library and the museum. It's brilliant.
Cool. So how long did you do teaching for?
So I did teaching for 10 years. I was a teacher for 10 years, and it started off, I loved teaching. I love people, I love making a difference and all of those things. But as time went on, I just began to get more and more miserable. I think it's probably something that you hear a lot of teachers saying, and I began to feel like I could make less and less of a positive impact. So all the things that I really wanted to be teaching children were things that were really, the curriculum really drilled out of children. So things like taking risks and being bold and being innovative and creative were things that I was kind of discouraging children to do, and I was encouraging them to fit molds, and I was encouraging them just to do things in a very formulaic way, and it just became really joyless. So I was fortunate, I guess, because eventually it became I became so miserable, and the stresses were so great that I couldn't do it anymore. So for years, Richard was saying, Claire, if it doesn't make you happy, why are you doing it? And I just would say, well, this is what I do. This is life, you know. I'm a teacher, and this is what teaching is. And so I just plodded on for years and years until it got to kind of crisis point, and I became very, very ill. And I'm really grateful for that, actually, because if that hadn't happened, I'd still be plodding along being really miserable. So yeah, eventually it just became so painful that I left, and that was the best thing ever that happened. So I left, and I became a childminder. And I think all of the kind of the pressure that I'd felt to please people or to impress people was all suddenly just taken away from me. And I suddenly realized that actually it's much more joyful when you actually just do what brings you joy. And I became a childminder because childcare had been a real struggle for us. And we had a nanny 2 weeks a month, and 1 week a month my mum would come over from Northern Ireland, and the other week Richard would use up his holiday. And it just wasn't very satisfactory because we were juggling a lot of stuff. We were losing family time together, and it was a real source of stress, really. So I decided, actually, do you know what? Instead of being in a teaching career where I'm teaching other people's children in a way that I'm not happy with, I should actually, while my kids are at home being looked after in a way that I'm not happy with, why don't I just stay home and look after my own children myself? So I decided to become a childminder because it wasn't just me that was having that problem. There was other people who were struggling as well. So they're really stuck when, you know, their childminder called in sick, or when nursery was shut, or when they had to work an unexpected day. So I decided that actually I could be home with my family and I could look after other people's children. So I looked after one family on a regular basis, and that was to help a friend who had really crazy work patterns. She was a nurse, and she had to work different days every week up until 9 at night, and she just couldn't find childcare that was suitable. So I said, you know what, I got the flexibility, I can do that. And then I was able to fit in other people's children around that. And some days I was working 7 days a week. I would be working sometimes like 14 hours, and it was brilliant. I really, really loved it because I was home with my family, doing all the things that I had been really sad to be missing with my kids. But then also I was helping people solve their problems and being really useful. And also I was working for myself. So that was just brilliant because a lot of time when I was a teacher, I was really keen to do what was asked of me and what was expected of me. And I wasn't always completely happy with that. So being my own boss was just brilliant. And actually I really, really flourished and thrived with that because all of a sudden I could do things the way that I thought was right. And that there was a real kind of sense of integrity about that. I found it really liberating. Fortunately, I find it so liberating that when I began to notice that my husband was feeling really quite frustrated at his place of work, that, you know, he had plans and projects that kind of kept being thwarted, and he wasn't able to kind of move forward or kind of progress in the ways that he'd planned. And I noticed that he was really sad, and he'd always wanted to launch his own business, and I'd always completely vetoed it. And he'd suggested it many times. Before we got married, he talked about how his ambition was to launch his own business, and I'd said, that's a great ambition to have. If you want to do that, you should choose somebody else to marry, because that's just not something that I would ever be comfortable with. So he said, all right, actually, on balance, when I think about my ambition to launch a business or marrying you, I'd rather marry you. So I was like, okay, cool, bro. But as we continued, I realized that actually he'd made a lot of sacrifices to support me in finding what was important to me. So actually maybe I should support him. He posited the idea of launching a business. It filled me with masses of stress. And in the end I said, you know what, sit down, do a business plan, and present it to me, but don't talk to me about this until you've got like a real business plan, something concrete. So that was great.
Vision of like the living room being like Dragon's Den. You sat there all looking professional. There's a spotlight on him on the other side of the room.
You're joking, but to be honest, it's not too far from the truth. I can be a complete dragon. So it was great because he stopped talking to me about launching a business, and it was great. So I continued quite oblivious and content about things. And then one day I came home after having a lovely time out with some friends, and he was like, I've got something to show you. He brought me to the study, and he sat me down at the computer. He said, here's the business plan. I was like, oh, cripes, no. I thought you'd forgotten about that. So he did the business plan. So I looked at it with an open mind, and my jaw just dropped, because when I looked at the figures about what kind of income would be in the first year and the second year and the third year, it was just terrifying. And then when it got to the fourth year, it was kind of something more comparable to what we were currently on financially. And I just said, no, that's not possible. I couldn't cope with that. I couldn't cope with the financial instability, and it just sounds like a really unpleasant prospect. So no. And the poor guy, he was so dejected, and off he went and off I went. I got into bed, and it was running around my head, and I started to sob, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, probably for a few hours. And I thought, do you know what? Actually, I'm really, really good at living on a budget, and if his happiness is important to me, it's really important to our family. Do you know what? I think we actually need to do this, and I have the skills to do this. We have the skills to do this. It's just going to be really hard work. So I pulled myself together, and I went downstairs, and I said, do you know what, let's do this. So we did. So I threw myself really fully into that. And I thought, do you know, if we're kind of investing so fully into this as a couple, as a family, I need to do everything that I can to support him. So off we went, and we began the journey. And kind of at the start, I was company secretary, and it was kind of purely a risk management mechanism. So if something happened to him, I would have kind of controls in the business that I could have access to the finance and be able to kind of manage things and tidy things up and pass them over to somebody else. So it was I didn't have aspirations to be particularly involved operationally in the business, but then I realized actually a company secretary is more than, well, a company secretary isn't somebody who kind of wears a pencil skirt and glasses and does the typing. It's actually somebody who has a real kind of understanding and oversight and responsibility for the business. So I cracked on and decided, well, I'll use the skills that I've learned, kind of marketing my childminding business and customer service and my skills with people. I thought, well, I'll use those to support the business. So for a couple of years, I kind of clean baby vomit off my shoulder and head out to some sort of networking meeting, and then come back and take off my high heels and pick up the kids from school and do all the lovely activities with them, and then head back out in the evening to another event. And I loved it, and I loved that I could be there for the family, and I loved that I could showcase our business, and I was so amazed at how great Richard was at his job. I was so proud of him that just business development was a complete joy. So I was kind of selling my husband and telling everybody how great he was all the time. So I love that, and I really enjoyed the kind of variety of my days and how crazy my life was. And then kind of a couple of years in, it began to not really be tenable anymore, and I realized that I'd need to kind of make a decision about which way I was going to go. Was I going to keep going, taking in the regular income from childminding, or would I take the leap and join the business full time? So I decided to join the business full time. Off I leapt, and it's just been amazing. So I don't know, 5 years ago I was a childminder, and last year I was voted the rising star in with Insurance Business UK in insurance. I've really come to love risk management. So I'm currently doing a master's in insurance and risk management, and I've got my insurance cert CII exams. And yeah, I think it's absolutely not, it's not a career route that I ever expected when I was at school. But I think in terms of the fulfillment and the reward and the ability to make a difference, to have an impact on businesses and to look under their bonnets and to see what exciting things they're doing and make recommendations and help them build resilience and be more confident is just the most exciting thing. So I absolutely love it.
I was thinking of what you said about risk management. When you think of children, feels like it's a great skill that's built up because you're constantly evaluating. We've got to put the sharp objects away, and then let's cover up the plug holes, and then what could they smash? So you almost build up this natural talent and strength for spotting things that might go wrong.
And I think a real thing that that having children and then working as a childminder taught me was to go back to that kind of fearlessness that I had as a child. So I remember when I was little, my mum and dad recently reminded me when I was small, I used to say to them, "Is it dangerous?" And when my sister asked, "Is it dangerous?" they would say to her, "No, darling, it's very safe, on you go." And when I said, "Is it dangerous?" they would say, "Yes, it's very dangerous."
Like,
have a go. So I loved taking risks and doing exciting and dramatic things. And I think for a large part of my life, for kind of a decade or more, I forgot to take risks and I forgot to be bold and I forgot to be fearless. And it's having children and seeing, encouraging my children to be bold and to try new things and to take risks and to fall over and to fall over again and to fall over yet again, and to keep failing, to keep making mistakes, and to eventually develop new skills from those and to experience new things. That's what being a mum and being a childminder taught me, was actually it's good and right to try difficult things, and it's good and right to keep falling over and to have those accidents. And actually it's not failing, it's just kind of what has to happen on the path to achieving your goals. I think that's been the most exciting thing that I've learned in the last few years, and something I've really tried to embrace. So I really try to keep putting myself out there and doing new things, and it's brought extraordinary opportunities. It's been amazing. Michelle, we were chatting before how I was invited to Downing Street last year and House of Lords 2 or 3 times last year, and I've met the most incredible and exciting people because I try new things and I seize opportunities, and I don't want my children to look at me and see that there's a limit to taking risks. I want them to look at me and see, actually, no, I can still keep taking risks, and if things don't go to plan, what's the worst that can happen? It's okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great lesson. My little boy's desperate to start walking to school. It's like, ugh. Yeah, he's just 10. He's in year 6, and there's a really busy road that he has to cross. So
yeah, so I'm going through that exact thing at the moment. So one of my son's classmates, his parents have got some childcare juggling to do. So now my son goes and picks him up on the way to school, and then they walk together. And when the idea was first posited to me, I was like, crikey, no, that's far too risky. But then I realised, he is 10, and I do watch him cross the road. So actually the risk is, well, the risk's really negligible. So off he goes with his friend, and he has this amazing sense of achievement and independence, and it's lovely.
Yeah, I need to find him a friend. That's the thing. I think he would quite happily do it on his own. I'm like,
yeah, no, it's really hard, and I think in terms of risk, it can be really, for me, for a long time, the kind of thing that really held me back was a fear of what other people would think, and a fear of failure, a fear of losing face. And I think that one of the most exhilarating things has been learning actually other people don't really care and they don't really notice and they don't remember. But actually, when I put myself out there and succeed, or if I put myself out there and don't succeed, actually, when the worst happens, it's absolutely fine. And actually, other people can find real encouragement in that. So I do try to be open about things that go well, but also when things don't go well. And I guess it is different, isn't it, when there's a kind of real physical risk to our children when they're crossing a road, you know, that is a valid fear. It's something that really interests me, actually. Where does our fear come from? Is it a kind of fear of a physical risk, in which case that's probably quite valid? Or is it a fear of what other people think of us? And if it's what other people think, what other people can see, how other people are going to judge, well, that just actually, that doesn't count. That doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
I was thinking, at his age, I was, so I lived in Northern Ireland until I was about 9, and we were playing on construction sites. Climbing scaffold, like, right. This is probably where it comes from. And then we moved to Germany, and then my friends used to blindfold me and take me into the woods because I had this really weird sense of direction. I could always figure out how to get back. So it was just like this fun game, like let's blindfold Michelle and let's see if she can find her way home, like a flip and slip, like a pigeon. And I cheated though because I knew which way the airport was. I just watched the planes, but but it was a really funny magic trick. But yeah, it's like the thought of it, like, oh.
I think something I find really reassuring about that is, even though I've made all sorts of mistakes in the past and I've got myself into all sorts of scrapes, actually we learn a lot from those mistakes, and kind of insurance is all about building resilience, and resilience is a big buzzword at the moment, but resilience is about bouncing back. And what I find really exciting is the idea about anti-fragility. So instead of bouncing back to where you were before, anti-fragility is where you bounce on a different trajectory to a different place, on a different journey, with different lessons and different strengths, and different wisdom and experience. And actually, when I think about the difficult things that have happened in my past, or the scary things and the difficult things, actually I've learned from them. And as much as we want to protect our children from all sorts of terrible things happening, actually I feel that what I can do is really build their sense of confidence and their sense of self-worth, and really help them develop the skills to be able to manage those challenges when they happen. So, I mean, we can do what we can to protect them, but actually we need to have confidence as well that they are as resilient or anti-fragile as we are. And that makes me a lot less scared as a parent. It gives me a lot more confidence, and when I can put trust in them, and if I am feeling anxious about that, well, that's just kind of an opportunity for me to really try to build their skills to deal with difficult things when they do happen.
Good advice.
Yep. Thank you.
So we're going to move on to the quick fire question round now. 3 quick questions. So question number 1, if you could know one truth about yourself, history, the world, or the universe, what truth would you want to know?
Yeah, to be honest, I really enjoy the adventure of experiencing things for myself and finding out things. So I don't think that there's anything that I particularly like to know the absolute sum.
Cool. Okay, question number 2. What is something that's common from your childhood that will seem strange to future generations?
I used to love chatting to my friends on the phone, and I'd spend hours every evening. After spending the day with my school friends, I'd come home and I'd spend 1, 2, or 3 hours on the phone to different friends. And I think that's a skill I've really lost. I don't chat to people anymore. I observe what people are up to on Facebook, so I kind of feel like I've got this idea of what's going on in people's lives, or on LinkedIn. I meet up with people in groups when we're not in the middle of a world pandemic. But I think just getting on the phone to somebody and having a big long chat where you really get to know people and hear about their day, what's important to them, what's going on. And that's not something I do anymore, and I don't think it's something my children do anymore. Sometimes they've got Zooms with classmates and groups and things like that, but I don't think it gives the same kind of one-to-one experience, and there's not the anonymity. So sometimes, as we're speaking now, I keep on catching a glimpse of my face on the screen, and I kind of get a bit distracted by that. I really miss phone calls.
I used to get into trouble all the time with the phone bill.
Yeah, did you have to keep it under an hour? Because I remember at one stage when I was young, they brought in the phone calls were free up to an hour.
Then you hung up and ring back. Yeah. Yes. I used to watch films with my best friend.
Really?
Yeah, we used to sit and watch a film and chat at the same time. Watch a film. The film was on the background of both of our houses, and we just talk all the way through it like annoying teenagers would. Brilliant.
Question number 3. What is the most beautiful view you have ever seen?
So I love craggy rocks and sea. One of the most beautiful places in the world is an island off the north coast of Northern Ireland. It's called Rathlin. It's got a really special place in my heart. It's absolutely stunning. But living in the northeast is absolutely amazing, because I talked already about how much I love Newcastle and the city and the bustle and the people and all those opportunities that city brings. But we absolutely love that in 20 minutes we can be at the coast. So on Sunday we went down to Marsden, and the kids got on their wetsuits, and Richard and the kids went out in the sea and swam out to a rock, and it's absolutely stunning and breathtaking just to be there and to see the absolutely stunning northeast coast. So I've been to all sorts of amazing places, and I remember being absolutely wowed when I was in South America, looking up at the sky and actually seeing stars like they have stars in the films. I always thought that was some sort of kind of made up aspirational sky view, and to actually be completely away from all sorts of light pollution and seeing the sky like that, it is incredible. I mean, I've been to all sorts of amazing places in the world, but I'm really happy to be in the northeast where it's just so stunning and staggering in its beauty.
Cool. Thank you for that. So if we were able to get a little time machine and take you back to your 18-year-old self, Claire, what advice would you give to her?
I would tell her to keep taking risks, because when I was a kid I took loads of risks and really loved life and really enjoyed all the opportunities. And then I think in my 20s and into my early 30s I just stopped doing that. I stopped taking risks, and I was trying to please people, and I thought that was a really noble and honourable pursuit, but actually it just ended up with me being really miserable, and everybody else around me was really miserable too. So since I've kind of refound that flame of the kind of exhilaration of taking risks and really achieving things and setting goals and really engaging with life, I've just been so happy again. So when I think about it, I recently realised actually the 18-year-old me would really respect me, and that's when I realised actually no, this is a real success marker for me, that actually 18-year-old me would think I was pretty canny.
That's brilliant.
Yes. So for our listeners, if they've really enjoyed chatting, they want to find out a bit more, get in touch, how can they find you?
So they can find us on our website, talbotjones.co.uk. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well, but you will find me hanging out a lot on LinkedIn. So that's my kind of social media of choice, and I'm really excited to be back there after about 6 months away. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn as the first point of call.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for booking yourself in.
Taking the leap,
There
taking the risk, being recorded. bother doing a podcast.
Yeah.
It's admirable.
Thank you.
So
No,
podcast achieved. Tick.
Yeah, I think that when you take opportunities like this, you don't know what kind of opportunities are going to open up, and when you don't, you're always going to feel a bit disappointed with yourself. So thank you for the opportunity, and it'd be really interesting to see what opportunities open up after having chatted to you guys. But it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.